Welcome to the Guild of Thieves How to Play video. Guild of Thieves is a family card game for 2 to 4 players for ages 8 and up, and usually takes between 15 and 30 minutes to play a game. In Guild of Thieves, you are a band of thieves going through the ancient city of Baghdad looking for magical items to steal and eventually become the leader of the whole Guild of Thieves. Players have cards that are randomly dealt out in front of them in a grid of either 6x8 or 7x8 according to the number of players you're playing. Each player then places their thief pieces, these wooden pieces you see out here, into the city, and then on each player's turn they play a card from their hand to their discard pile and move one of their thief pieces as that card states. So for example, at the start of your game you have 2 lamps and a camel in your hand. You will play a card to your discard pile, which is played face up. You also have a draw pile, which will be face down. At the start of the game, you only have 3 cards, the cards in your hand. As you gain more cards throughout the game that go into your deck, you will have a larger draw pile and again discard pile. So for example here, I played the camel. What the camel allows you to do is move one piece 3 spaces. Now, in Guild of Thieves, you are never allowed to move through another thief, and you can never move diagonally. Also, you can never move over the same space that you moved on. So, in other words, the camel allows you to move 3 spaces. This thief could go 1, 2, 3. Or, for example, he could go 1, 2, and 3. And whatever card that thief moved off of is then picked up and put into your discard pile. You then, at the end of your turn, draw 1 card from your draw pile to add to your hand, with an exception of the first turn. On the first turn, the card you move off of goes into your hand directly and you do not draw, but that is only for the first turn. So that I'd like to go on and explain some of the different cards in the game and how they move your thief pieces. We've already gone over the camel, which moves your thief exactly 3 spaces. Next up is the lamp. The lamp you move in a straight line until you cannot move anymore. So that means you move until you cannot move anymore so I would move there. I can't go any further because there's a piece in my way. Or I can move this way. I can't go any further because I've come to the edge of the city. Or for instance, if I was up here, I can move this way and I stop again because I've come to an empty space. That is how the lamp moves. Next, you have the sword. The sword is the most valuable card in the game. It is also the most difficult to play because you must move where you can bump another player's piece onto another card. So, for instance, yellow could you play a sword and move from here, bumping red off of the flying carpet down to another flying carpet. A lot of times players will try to bump another player onto a guard. So in other words, yellow could move down, again bumping red off the flying carpet onto the guard, which is worth -1 point. The next card is the coins. The coins is worth 3 points, and what the coins allows you to do is move exactly 1 spot. Again, you'll take whatever card you move off of, put it into your discard pile, and then you get to draw an additional card. So instead of just drawing 1 card from your draw pile, you draw 2 cards from your draw pile, putting them into your hand, which effectively increases your hand size as you go throughout the game. The next card is the turban. The turban allows you to move exactly 2 spots, taking both cards you move off of. So, in other words, this yellow piece could move 1, 2, and the card you move off of and the card you move over comes to your discard pile, and then you draw 1 card from your draw deck. We then have the flying carpet. The flying carpet is very helpful at late game when there are empty spaces in the city, as you are starting to see now in this example. When a player plays a flying carpet, again, you play it to your discard pile, just like all other times when you play cards. Then you can jump over empty spaces to the next available card. Doesn't matter how many empty spaces there are, just as long as there's a card on the other side, you jump in a straight line to that card, and then again, take the card that you moved off of, put it into your discard pile. Finally, we have the jewels. The jewels allow you to play just as if you played the card that your opponent last played. So if the last card that was played by an opponent was the flying carpet, you can use the jewels as a flying carpet. If the last card that was played by your opponent was the camel, you can use the jewels as a camel. You can even copy jewels that were just played. If an opponent just played some jewels that they copied a turban, then you can play jewels to copy their jewels, which copies the turban as well. Finally, there is one card that you do not want to get. That is the guard. The guards are in the city searching for your thieves. If you get a guard, it is worth -1 points at the end of the game. What is worse, though, probably, is it comes into your hand as you go through your deck, and it does nothing, cannot be played. Eventually, as you put cards in your discard pile and draw cards from your draw pile, you will run out of cards in your draw pile. You will shuffle up your discard pile, make it your new draw pile, and draw from there. The game ends once all players have passed and are out of the game. At that point, every card that your thieves are on still are put into your deck, and you put your discard pile in your deck, so all the cards you've collected throughout the game, you count up your points that you've collected, and the winner becomes the leader of the Guild of Thieves. Thank you again for listening to the video, and this is, again, the Guild of Thieves, 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, and usually takes 15 to 30 minutes.